Okay, welcome, welcome, welcome. Welcome you all back again, along with my co host and founder, Dr. Gerald Amandu. Hey, if you remember, we spoke last in episode about why you should never even miss a single episode on Lead Talk. And here we are today again with a brand new episode on the concepts of leadership. To be very precise, what leadership is today's day and what it is not. But before I go any further, I want to take a moment to thank you and acknowledge you for your wholehearted support in this beginning of the journey and subscriptions, comments, encouraging feedback, and the massive downloads. Continue doing that and spread the word and the cheer around with your friends, families, and loved ones. Having said that, let us get back straight into the value. So, today we are talking about leadership. Michael Jordan once said, earn your leadership every day. Andrew Carnegie said, the beauty of empowering others is that your own power is not diminished in the process. That's so beautiful. But let's ask the expert on leadership what he has to say. Okay, so today I am going to interview our own key host and founder, Dr. Gerald Amandu. And here is why. He's not only the founder and co host with me and a very learned colleague of mine, but he's also a global leadership mentor. This title earned by his deep research and continuous work on leadership. He's training hundreds of undergraduates, postgraduate students, and making them future leaders, while he's coaching business owners how to lead in the most effective manner. So, before anything, I want to thank and welcome him and straight away get back to the question. Are you ready, Dr. Gerard?
Absolutely. I'm thrilled by the introduction, but more than that, by your response. We are actually overwhelmed and
Yes.
excited about the support we've received from every one of you. As you notice, we've been receiving a lot of comments from you. You've been congratulating us. You've been saying you can't wait for the next episode. And that's why we are right here. And we want to go deep into career progression. We want to go deep into leadership development. And so, Shilpa, back to you.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, first question straight away. Okay. Before we get into the depth of the leadership and the session, who would you say, what would you say that what leadership is understood by various people in today's day?
A very interesting question. You see, the concept of leadership as we know today is one of the most misunderstood concepts. It looks common, and yet it's one of the things that many people think of as from different perspectives. To some, leadership is being a boss. To others, it's giving instructions and orders for others to follow. Yet for others, it is controlling others. It's controlling a community, it's controlling a country, even in a broader sense. And that if we look at the political and things like that. And some even wrongly think and assume that leadership is management. Now,
Oh,
the two are separate, although they are related. And this is something we will deal with in the subsequent episodes. So, in today's session, Shilpa, I want to explain to our community here the concept of leadership in such a way that it becomes clear to our listeners now
mm,
online so that they're able to start developing these learnable skills. So they're able to change their career path. They're able to grow. If they're already into leadership position, then they can be better. And if they're starting out, then they know what to emphasize on. And if they're already business leaders, like some of you are, then you would be able to adjust your belt if you may, so you can take your company to the next level.
wow, that's
Yeah.
very insightful because it's also important to understand what leadership is not. And then we can actually start changing our perspectives and learning new concepts about leadership. And I like that one line you said, irrespective of what leadership is and it's not, it is a learnable skill. And that's what we are going to attempt in the coming sessions. So, having said that, the concept of leadership can indeed be very confusing because it is misunderstood, maybe just management, titles. So, can you share with us some unusual ways leadership has been defined by some of our pioneers?
Very interesting. And indeed, like you said, leadership has been misunderstood. And so in today's session, we would like to borrow a leaf from our pioneers, people who have been here with before us, people from whom we are learning. And we would like to invite you, the listeners, today to listen to as well. So the first person I want to take credence from is Ralph Waldo Emerson. Many times, some of you already know he was an American philosopher, an abolitionist, and a poet. And one of the key things he said was, "Do not follow where the path may lead. Instead, go where there is no path and leave a trail."
Wow.
That's interesting, right? Now,
Yes.
by this, Waldo meant that a leader must be willing to move where it seems dark and sure. And that way, you're expected to use your gut feelings. And I'm sure many of you have talked about gut feeling. Okay, it's that inner feeling that I am going the right direction. So this way, you're able to take calculated risks. You're able to lead your team. You're able to take your family. You're able to take yourself into something that's almost unfamiliar.
Yes.
Right? So that's something important. I would like, as you listen to this, I would like you to reflect on that. Now, another unusual way I would invite you to look at leadership is coming from the work of Steve Jobs, the Apple co-founder. I'm sure many of you are users of Apple. Now, we don't, this show is not sponsored by Apple in any way, but we just want to give credence to that. And one of the things Steve Jobs once said is, innovation distinguishes between a leader and a follower. And so the key element here he was highlighting is of innovation. Now, what this means is that if you would like to be a leader, then you must be able to develop new ideas. Then you must be able to improve existing ideas. And innovation is really what within the Japanese community comes out of the concept of Kaizen, which is continuous learning, continuous improvement in your company, in your own family, in your company. So this is very important. So we've learned one thing. Emerson said, moving where there is no trail, and you leaving a trail. And another concept Steve Jobs talks about is innovation. So as a leader, you must look for innovation. You must support innovation, or you must innovate yourself. And another unusual explanation of leadership comes from one of the past presidents of the US, and this is no other than John Quincy Adams, who said, if your actions inspire others to dream more, to learn more, to do more, and become more, then you're a leader. So this being a leader are very powerful things you need to do. So that means you have to be able to make your people take action so that you help your team. And really building on what Quincy said, you need to build on your team's capabilities so that they're able to transcend their present status. So if your people are operating at this level, through your leadership ability, you should be able to rise them or make them feel comfortable rising to the next level. And Coach Shilpa, this is precisely what I would like our listeners today to be able to take home as a message.
Yeah, absolutely. This is such a wonderful description of three different descriptions and unusual definitions about leadership. This is coming from deep experience and execution, right? So I would ask our viewers and the audience to type down what are the three takeaways from these three definitions, which they can start implementing from today. right?
I
So
love
we can guide them, more, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so next question to you, Dr. Gerald, is if leadership is not management and not about control, so what are the things people assume when they say leadership? So what is leadership is all about then?
Oh, beautiful, beautiful. I love that. And I like the word assumptions you've used. And because this is the human nature. We always want to assume, and we many times start from assumption. Now, the problem is sometimes we assume forever. Now, the goodness is like those of you who are listening to us right now, you're here to learn from the best. You are here to remove your past learning so that you can actually learn what is current, what is best, and what can take you to the next level. So, basing on what you've just asked me, obviously, this is an interesting reflection. And based on my years of experience teaching, consulting, and coaching, and serving different organizations, and also, most importantly, being a student of leadership, right? Being a student, you remember I used the concept of Kaizen.
Yeah.
For you to be a leader who makes difference, you have to be constantly learning. And this is something we'd like to invite you. My co-host and I would like to invite you to be constant learners, to be ongoing learners, so that together, as you grow, we grow, and we're able to build a very strong community around us, a community of learners. Now, based on all this experience and what our pioneers have said, as we alluded to just a few minutes ago, I've come to understand leadership from three main perspectives. One
Okay.
perspective is that leadership is about proper behavior and conduct. Now, there's a catch here. You remember, many people think leadership is leading others, it's being out there. But rather, I want to invite you to see leadership as something inside you first before it can get out there. Right? So it's important. So leadership is about proper behavior and conduct. And the second point is leadership is about taking the right action using the right skills. Because every action should be complemented by the right skill so that the end result is good, right? And the third perspective that I want you to approach leadership is having the right attitude supported by the right belief systems. So you see, this is kind of out of the ordinary, right? So we are talking about behavior and conduct. We're talking about action and skill, and we're talking about the right attitude and belief. So if you'd like to be a successful leader, what that means is that you have to behave right in the right situation. So if your employee, for instance, you're a business owner, you're a manager, your employee has a sick mother. I've seen managers who have totally no human face. They'll say, no, you cannot go. You have to submit the report first. So just imagine, are you behaving right in that situation that requires compassion? Obviously, the answer is no, right? Then this also means that we must take the appropriate action in the moment. Sometimes your employees or your subordinates mess up.
Yes.
Maybe it's a new person, and like I'm sure Shilpa, you remember, you even as you go, you went through the career progression. You started as an ordinary person until you went to senior management. You made mistakes. So just imagine the times when a poor boss made you feel uncomfortable, maybe said unkind words. Can you imagine how bad it felt?
Yeah, absolutely. It hurts. It hurts to the deepest level. And mostly what I've seen is that the wrong remarks discourage the most sincere people.
Absolutely. I like that. I want to highlight that again. The wrong remarks had
Discourage the
discouraged the
sincere people.
most sincere people. This is very important. And you, as you listen, I want to call your attention to these beautiful words Shilpa just mentioned. Many honest people in organizations get discouraged by poor leadership. Actually, and one of the things I want you to remember is in organizations, people don't quit organizations. They quit their managers, they quit the bosses, right? And if the boss does not have those three key elements, you remember we said proper behavior and conduct, proper action with the right skill and the right attitude and belief systems, then you're going to break the energy of the people you are responsible for, right?
Yeah.
So people will quit on you. You will blame them, oh, they're lazy, they're this. And in fact, it has been shown that people who need a lot of leadership skills are the people who do a lot of name calling. Because good leaders, as we would expect you to be, you shouldn't be doing a lot of name calling. Rather, you should be able to take the appropriate action. So in the case like Shilpa and you and I, we have experienced, we have managers mismanaged us. The best thing at some point was you'd expect support, right? But then you
Yes.
don't receive support. Obviously, how did that make you feel?
Absolutely, absolutely. A very, very deep point, because we are talking about leadership, but before leadership, in the leadership, the word is leader.
Yes.
And every leader is defining leadership at every point in time. And he has to be conscious about, as you said, his behavior, his conduct, his aptitude, his attitude, and his own belief system. So it's all coming from a leader, which then people see, oh, this is what his leadership is. And then they generalize. And that's why so many misconceptions about leadership, right? So that is so beautifully you having said that, Dr. Gerald. And we also brought in some deep points
Mhm.
as into how wrong way of leadership can actually dishearten sincere people. So
Absolutely.
what are some of the key elements that constitute the concept of leadership that every career professional, manager, business owner need to know?
Beautiful. The key elements that I would like every career manager, career person, working professional to be able to appreciate is I would like us to reflect and look at leadership through the eyes of some of the great contemporaries of our time.
Okay.
And the reason why we go to this is like history, right? All of us, I'm sure, in school and stuff, we studied history, and sometimes like I remember my own classmates saying, why are we studying history? Now, history is such an important thing that you cannot know where you're going if you don't know where you're coming from, right?
Wow.
Yeah. So this is very profound because as leaders, we need to understand the leaders of today, we need to understand what did the leaders of yesterday say so that we can reflect on their words and look at our current circumstances and then take the most appropriate action at that of the kind of behavior in that circumstance. So the first is I want to take a hint from the work of John Maxwell, one of the world's renowned leadership experts that I'm sure
Absolutely.
you guys have read about him and maybe listen to him. Now, one of the things he said is leadership is influence, nothing more, nothing less. Now, as a manager, as a professional working person, you need to ask yourself, okay, I am a manager, I'm an assistant manager, I'm a director. How do I do on the element of influence? Do I
True.
force people or do I influence them? What is influence after all? So being a leader means you need to be able to influence people to go in the direction that is going to take your company to the right place. So that's important. So we learned from Maxwell that we need to do nothing less or nothing more apart from influencing. So if you come to office and influence your subordinates to go in the right direction, then you can say, yes, my leadership is going to the next level.
Mhm.
The other insight I want us to talk about is what Warren Bennett said. And what Bennett said is leadership is the capacity to translate vision into reality. Now, translate vision into reality. As you
Reality.
know, leaders are known or at least expected to pass the company's vision so that everybody under them is able to see this vision, right? So then it becomes a reality in the way they behave, the way they look after customers, the way they look after clients and all that, right? So if as a leader, you always find yourself struggling with the concept that, but my workers don't seem to understand what, they don't understand, they're not doing the things I want them to do. How come, where do I get good workers? They don't understand, right?
Yes.
Rather than blaming them, you should point the finger backwards. The critical question I would invite you to ask yourself is, what have I done to help my people see the vision and translate this into reality? So every time the people under you are confused, then you need to say, how can I translate what I want them to do into a vision that is very clear, that they can take the right steps? So that's the second important understanding that I want us to, as a listener, as a leader, as a business owner, that I want you to be aware of. And then the third one inspiration comes from Steve Jobs again. And he did the great thing for us. Most of the machines we are using, thanks to him, right? So that's why we keep going back and back to him to get inspiration. And rightfully, he talks about inspiration as being important for leadership. So what did he say? He said, leadership is all about inspiring people to do things they never thought they could.
Wow.
That's pretty interesting. Shilpa, what do you think about that? Inspiring people to do the things they never thought they could.
Wow, this is actually leadership next level, right? Because people always want to do what they think they can do, possible to do. But even taking them to the places where they never dreamt of, they never envisioned, is the true leadership, because that's not just building companies, it's building the future of the next leaders.
Absolutely. And one of the key concepts that drives this unit, this organization we are running, Lead Talk, is taking your thinking, your action, and your leadership and your career to the next level.
Yes.
We do not want you remember the 2 episodes back, we talked about setting yourself limiting beliefs. Through these sessions, we want you to be able to break limiting beliefs so that you can actually take yourself and your people to the next level. And the next level can mean anything for you. If you're a banker, if you're a teacher, if you're a armed forces officer, whoever you are, there's always a next level. And so as a listener, we want you not to settle, but always focus on going to the next level.
Yeah, thank you for emphasizing that word next level. That resonates so much with both of us, and that's why we selected that. And in the coming episode, we also plan to talk about what exactly the next level means and how exactly you can define what level am I at. People ask us, right? How do I know that? So we'll create one more beautiful episode on that. And thank you for sharing this wonderful new insights to us. It's so much of learning for me as well, personally. So, having taken us through this, your own understanding of leadership, your deep research and experience, and the perspective of the great leaders of our time, what is the message you want to pass to our listeners today?
Oh, beautiful, beautiful. Now, I've got 3 main messages. I always like one of our shared mentors with Shilpa teaches us about the power of 3, right? We like the power of 3. The first lesson that I would like you to take home as you're listening to this is, first of all, leadership is a learnable skill. If not for anything, I would like you to appreciate, because for too many times I've heard the phrase that, oh, me, I'm not born a leader. For us at home, we're not leaders. Leadership is not for me. That is like saying, me, I'm not a driver. I'm not a cook. I am not a worker. I'm not, this is a skill exactly. This is a skill you can learn just like driving. No baby is a driver, right? But we come to learn, we come to write and all that. So anyone, therefore, can learn to become a leader as long as they take the lessons that our mentors, our teachers have passed before us. So there's no point of saying I'm not a born leader. Now, many years ago, about 300, 400 years ago, the concept there were other people were born leaders and others were just supposed to be led. Now, that was the thinking at that time. No more than the feeling and the thinking that the sun moved around the earth. And Copernicus made a Galileo and Copernicus were able to bust that myth. That was a myth. And the concept that the earth was flat and all those things. So the same concept is leadership is not really born.
So true.
Leadership is learned. So you can learn the same way you learn how to do any skill today is something we're inviting you to learn leadership. And the second important thing is that leadership excellence is one of the success skills, which sets you apart. Now, what this means is that if you want to succeed in life, in your own life as a person, you have to lead yourself well. Have you thought about how some people end up in jails or as drug addicts or whatever things, and they get into police? Not as service people, but as criminals. It's because they have misled themselves.
Yeah.
And this is why leadership is almost the oxygen of proper living. The same way you need oxygen for your physiology to work right, you need leadership to lead yourself well. And once you lead yourself well, then you can lead others well. And the third aspect that I want to pass to you as you listen to us is that in order to be successful as a leader, then you need to learn the required skills. You need to have the knowledge. You need to develop the right attitudes, the belief systems, so that all this will be manifested in the right behavior. Because what happens is people do not see beliefs. They do not necessarily see attitudes, but all this will come in terms of your behavior.
Yeah.
Right? So behavior is the outward thing, but all these things we've been talking about are the inner part. And because the inner game determines the outer game. So we invite you through all these processes to work on your inner self so that what you manifest out as your behavior, as a manager, as a leader, reflects that you're able to inspire people, you're able to motivate them, that you're able to make people rise to the next level, which is a theme that we strongly believe here in this podcast. In Lead Talk, we want everybody to realize where the possibility of growth is and move really to that level. So those are my key skills, key concepts that I would like to pass over to you.
Wonderful. These are the concepts which can start progression in leadership from today for everyone. And what is eminently coming out from what you're telling, Dr. Gerald, is also that it all is about the leader as well. So we, in the coming episodes, as you and me discuss, we are going to also talk about self-leadership. Because when I help working professionals about their career transition, revival, and the success, and you also train people, we focus on their self-leadership, because when a person is able to lead himself well, he automatically derives the ability to lead others by example. So as we come, thank you. So as we come to the end of the segment, why should anyone listening today strive to improve their leadership abilities at all? What would you say?
Absolutely, this is really to re-emphasize, because as humans we learn through emphasis, we learn through repetition, and our focus here is really for you to pick 3, 4, 5 nuggets, actionable steps that you can actually go and implement right after the end of the segment, so that you can improve yourself. So number one is appreciating that one's success is central as a personal level, at a personal level, because of his or her leadership ability.
Yes.
Also, the group for which you are responsible, maybe you're a team leader, maybe you're in sales, you're in marketing, you're in accounting, whatever profession you are doing, or your business person, the team you're leading, the success of that small group is contingent upon your leadership ability. So if you mess your leadership, you're going to mess the performance of that team. And the
So true.
same to the organization level as well. Absolutely. The other thing that why it's very important for everyone to strive to learn leadership, or at least improve what they're doing in terms of leadership, is people who generally tend to succeed in life are those who have a good understanding of leadership. And I want you to see leadership as a map. If you're supposed to go to your main city, the main city of your country, if you're from USA, let's say you are from California, you are going to New York. You have never been to New York. What are you going to take? You're going to take a map of the city, right? Of the state. It will help you to navigate. If you're in India, you're from Kerala and you've just gone to Mumbai, what are you going to do to move around? You will need a map of Mumbai, right? So that you know where the train stations are, you know where the bus stops are, the hotels and shops and all that. So leadership is no more than a map. If you do not have a roadmap, you will mislead yourself, you will get lost, and you will get your team lost thoroughly. And in the process, the organization will go down, right?
Yes.
And the other thing that I would always want to emphasize, and we've talked about this with Shilpa many times, is nothing really succeeds without proper leadership.
Yeah.
Whether you're a career person, whether you're a business person, whether you are a working mom or stay-home mom, nothing really works without proper leadership in life and in business. And this is why it's important that every one of us gets to the point where we constantly improve our leadership skills. You remember the concept of Kaizen, and this is why we invite you always to log in, to subscribe, to be part of this channel, so that bit by bit you can improve your leadership skills, you can improve your career advancement and things like that. And finally, one of the key things is that because everyone here who is success driven needs to move to the next level, we would like you to take the various leadership principles to build on whatever you have already. So whether you want to transition your career, you use your leadership skills to transition properly so that you don't regret the transition. Or if you're just a beginning leader, you then take this principle so that you build your team better. If you're a business owner, instead of always chasing people away and hiring and chasing and wasting your energy in hiring, you can use your leadership ability to nurture the teams so that the teams can actually become successful and in the process make you successful as a business owner.
Indeed, indeed.
Yes.
So beautiful, Dr. Gerald. And what you say, I absolutely agree. The main point you brought again and again is a Kaizen, is a constant improvement, constant innovation, and constant focus on learning and developing the skill, not only for own personal success, our family success, or organization success. If that all can be blended together with this one skill, how beautiful that would be. That's amazing. And I must say that all this conversation with you was so deep and so insightful. So I'm thanking on behalf of our audience to you for your insights. And I'm sure all our audience has got the updated view and more, what I would say, tested view on the leadership and what it was misconstrued as earlier. Also, how imperative it is to build the skill for their continued progression to the next level. And I request all our learned listeners to subscribe, download, and share the episode with your loved ones and the other people who you care for and want them to grow in their life. And also take advantage to join our private leadership and career transition communities. We have given the links below because we want to give you value on a continued basis. Also follow us on social media. We keep putting out the best value there always. We strive for the same. And also, please reach out to us for coaching, consulting, mentoring. guest speaking requirement, because while we bring you the next episode on the career changes and the transitions, we look forward to also hear from you the challenges, the questions you have regarding your leadership, your career transitions, and how we can be more helpful and more meaningful to you. Any words you want to add, Dr. Gerald?
Absolutely. We are thrilled. We invite you for the next session. It's all about career